What's up, guys? It is all Nin all the time. That's actually not true, but I was playing a ton of Nin kind of at the tail end of last month and at the beginning of this month, and I actually moved into the games from May, so I'm getting near the end of the archive, which is good because there's some other fantastic games coming up. And this match, I'm up against Mori Wataru, wielding the Dragon. 8 mana, giant 10/10 flyer with imminence, makes dragons faster or easier to cast, and whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards, and you may put a permanent from your hand onto the battlefield. So clearly sort of playing a multicolored dragon deck. I would expect that at least, even though it is 5-color things, unlike the, the 2/2 flyer that's black, red, and white that is also demons and dragons oriented. Haven't faced Dragon before, actually, but I've faced some other enormously expensive commanders in the past. This one cost 9. And when I think of another 9-mana commander, that gigantic Naya dinosaur, the one that basically just wins the game if you cast it. And I've actually lost a couple games, I think, to that commander in the past. I think once with mono green, once with Nin, actually, because they just managed to just cast it and I didn't have any counter magic. It killed my commander immediately, and I just could not get a foothold back in the game before it killed me. So don't discount these giant commanders. They seem sort of goofy and a little clunky, but sometimes with the right mana draws, they can be extremely threatening. And this game is no exception. I know you guys have watched some other games that were closely contested, a couple blowouts. This is a good one. It is definitely worth the viewing. So sit back, enjoy, and let's get started. All right, I believe I'm going first here, and of course my hand, very, very strong actually. It doesn't have any acceleration, but early interaction, deck fade, and of course always very happy to see that in my opening hand. Not only because it's protection against the early artifacts, but also because if I can get the Hull Breacher going, Dak Faden turns into the most bonkers card in history. And I also have, of course, Mystical Tutor into Mana Drain and Mana Drain into Amnesia, which should be able to take out. If he's playing this commander, he's probably playing a lot of big, expensive dragons. I mean, there aren't that many cheap ones anyway, and I may be able to catch 4, 5, even 6 cards in his hand with the Amnesia and just win the game on the spot. So we'll see how it unfolds. Let's get it going. And it looks like he's actually first after mulliganing, so he's just leading with the Stomping Ground. Alrighty. Island, not too bad. Pretty happy with 4 land. Taiga into Nature's Lore. Okay. Well, he's got three of his colors already, red, green, black. But still a ways off from casting anything particularly threatening. I'm just going to Mystical Tutor at the end of the turn here due to the fact that he accelerated. I just need to go get the Mana Drain right away. And hopefully he draws a card and walks a 4-drop into my Mana Drain, and I can just untap an Amnesia, whatever remains of his hand. I always love to obviously have an active Nin in play when I have Mana Drain in my hand, but I feel that at this stage in the game I can't really afford to take that kind of a risk to just play Nin, as there are definitely plenty of nasty things that can happen turn 4 in a 5-color deck, even if it is dragon themed. And all he does is just play a Hallowed Fountain, which gets him 1 color closer to his, I guess, domain. Yeah, I guess to getting domain. He actually already has domain, right? Yeah, he's got all the land types already. All right, Condescend's a pretty nice pickup. I'm just going to play Steam Vents here, and again, this is just protection against. Well, there's no real reason to play the Flooded Strand here. I tend to like to keep a fetch land for as long as possible due to the interaction with the Mystic Sanctuary. Because once you've got 3 islands in play, all the fetch lands basically allow you to put some instant or sorcery back on top of your library, and Mana Drain is one of those effects you definitely want to be able to play multiple times in a game if you can without having to use a Snapcaster Mage. So end of turn, I'm faced with a bit of dilemma here. He casts Vampiric Tutor, and the thing is that normally I wouldn't be too worried about this. Obviously, I am holding Mana Drain, Condescend, Memory Lapse. But the problem is I've already telegraphed Mana Drain. He knows I have it due to the fact that I Mystical Tutor for it. And as a result of that, I have a strong suspicion, just based on his mana base here, he has real dual lands and stuff. It's not just a budget deck. There's a high and obviously Vampiric Tutor. There's a high probability he might have Cavern of Souls in his deck. If he does that, and he has a dragon to go with it, I could suddenly be in a lot of trouble because it basically just bricks all the counters in my hand. So I'm very nervous that he would go actually get Cavern of Souls here, but I can't really Mana Drain it because if I Mana Drain it, I only get 1 crappy mana. That gets rid of the Amnesia problem, or the Amnesia option. And additionally, my defenses are completely down for his 5-mana turn. So despite the fact that he may have an opportunity to go get Cavern of Souls, I decide ultimately that I can't risk it. And sure enough, down comes Cavern of Souls. But that's fine. Sure, he's going to be able to cast creatures now, but at least I still have counter magic for non-creature stuff. And I'm sure he has plenty of things in the deck that aren't creatures. And he casts the Scourge of Valkus. Flying, when Scourge of Valkus or another demon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to any target with X number of dragons you control. Okay, it's interesting. It's only on battlefield entry, not on attacking. So this isn't just sort of a perpetual way to kill Nin, but still very problematic. It can fire breathe. He already has 2 mountains in play. And yeah, I can't counter this thing, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to mana drain it. So when you cast this, I'm sort of looking at my hand thinking, okay, well, what do I really want to do here? This is 5 mana. If I untap, obviously I have another land. It's going to give me access to 9 on my turn. And with 9 mana, I can amnesia him, get rid of the rest of the threat. Sure, he has a 4/4 in play, but I will be able to. I'll be able to play Dak Faden, draw some cards with that. I don't know. It's kind of a bit of a dilemma, but I feel that the mana drain is just not going to be necessarily that useful. We're getting up into the 6 and 7 mana range where the dragons get really big and scary. And I think that I just need to kind of make a tempo play and ensure that he doesn't have some 6 and 7 drops that are going to come down next turn that I can't deal with. So with that in mind, I decide to mana drain this. I don't remember if my opponent made a comment, but I think that there was this long pause. And he probably was thinking to himself, well, that was a dumb play. Little does he know. It's all part of my master plan. Okay, so end of the turn, I'm going to go get the Volatile Fjord, since this is a good time to go fetch it. Yeah. So many volcanic islands. All right, what are we going to get? Fabricate. That is quite interesting. Okay, so 5 mana floating, bunch of options. I can cast Amnesia, play this. This is 6 plus 3, and I have exactly 9. So I had another option here. I could play Flooded Strand. I could fabricate and go get Vidalcan Shackles and play it right away, given the fact that I have all this generic mana in my hand. And in retrospect, that wouldn't have been a terrible play. I would have gained control of his Scourge of Valkos and so on. But the truth of the matter is that it's not really putting that much pressure on me yet. I can always fabricate. I can obviously fabricate this turn. And if I draw 1 more mana, I can always just play the Shackles and use it on a follow-up turn. There is the one issue of whether or not he taps his red mana. Because if he leaves a bunch of red mana untapped, it's going to be harder to steal the Scourge. It's going to require more mountains. But I decide ultimately I can't risk that these 2 cards are devastating 6 mana things. And I feel that it's probably a lot safer to just simply cast Amnesia. So that is what I'm going to do. Go get Flooded Strand. And I make a dumb mistake here. I click on Mystic Sanctuary thinking, okay, well, obviously I've cast Mana Drain. I want to put it back on top of my library. And this is the last fetch land that I have access to, and there's already 2 of them gone. But in retrospect, this is pretty stupid just because obviously I'm planning on casting Fabricate. And after playing the Mystic Sanctuary, it almost made me think I need to go and actually play Dak Faden instead of Fabricate so I don't reshuffle. But I decided ultimately that I didn't want to just play Dak Faden and draw 2 only to have it die to 1 attack. I'd rather get some more use out of it. So even though it means I'm going to reshuffle it back into my deck, it feels so silly, it's better than nothing. Because certainly a mana drain in my deck is more valuable than a mana drain in my graveyard, since I still have other ways to fetch it. I have the Merchant Scroll and, of course, Muddled Mixture. But first things first, gonna Amnesia him. And hopefully we get something juicy and it isn't just a couple more lands. All right, Sneak Attack. Yikes, scary. And a Tarka World Render. Holy moly. My god, look at the potential damage when dragon you control attacks against double strike until end of turn. So if he had no land in hand, but if he plays Sneak Attack and he attacks with a Tarka World Render, that's going to hit me for 12, and the Scourge hits me for 8. So that's 20 damage hit right away. Half my life total. Doesn't obviously kill me, but if he gets a little bit more mana and he's able to attack with multiple dragons and then sneak a Tarka into play, I could just be dead in 1 hit. So pretty happy to have cast Amnesia there. It definitely took out 1 big threat, although of course he only has 5 mana right now, but he might just draw 2 more and then I'd be facing down this hideous thing too. So in the meantime, I'm just going to cast that Fabricate sheepishly and pretend he doesn't notice that I just put Mana Drain on top of my library. And of course I'm getting Vidalcan Shackles. I do have to draw another island though, at a minimum, to be able to steal this thing depending on how much mana he leaves untapped. Uh-oh. Oh no. Sarkhan the Mad. This is a Planeswalker I actually put in my cube a little while ago, and then eventually removed it. I just felt that the effect, the 5 mana effect of 0, play the top thing of your library, and sometimes damage Sarkhan a bunch, and sometimes or get it into your hand. Not quite good enough given the amount of good card advantagey things at that range. So not too impressed with this guy overall, but it'll be interesting in his deck. Certainly it has lots of synergy with his dragon theme, and it is beefy and is a source of card advantage. So now I've got to fade some big things. At least he doesn't have another threat to follow up the Scourge. So he uses it, and he immediately flips a Reflecting Pool, which actually he's probably quite happy to get, since he just needs to be thinking, I got to get to 10 or 9 mana to cast my Giant Dragon. Smack. Reflecting Pool. All right, so here I am facing down the Scourge. I really, really want to get these Shackles online, and honestly, I need to draw another island. It's a big ask, too, considering I've got 4 of them in play, and this deck actually has a lot of non-island blue lands in it. So maybe I'll get lucky and draw one. Cross fingers. Get there. Island. Oh, well, how you doing? Not just any island, the best island. Volcanic Island comes down, and of course, without hesitation, I'm going to snag the Scourge. And he gives a little pause, thinking, can I pump that in response? But then he realizes that I've got 5 islands somehow, and he only has 1 source of red. So now I've got the Scourge, and that fortifies my position a great deal. I'm very glad he doesn't have a Tarka in his hand, because he immediately puts another land into play, and which is off the top of his deck, and he reveals Ancient Tomb off Sarkhan. So he's drawn 3 lands in a row. Kind of good, kind of bad luck, depending on how you look at it. Obviously, good luck for him in that it gets him very, very close to, he's now up to 9 mana, so he has the ability to cast his Uncountable Dragon next turn. And bad luck that he didn't get another threat this turn, so I'm the one who holds the Scourge. And that's extremely important, actually, because the fact that he doesn't have a blocker means that I can hold the Scourge in hand. And look at this rip. Gilded Lotus. This is, it's kind of amazing, actually. So I do have 3 sources of red in play, but now I also have 3 sources of red that I just put into play on 1 turn, and this just works out perfectly. The beautiful symmetry. Attack with the Scourge, pump it up to 7 power, and take down the Sarkhan. That's right. He's not mad anymore. He's just dead. Get out of here. All right. So I know he only has an Ancient Tomb in hand, but unfortunately that means that at a bare minimum I'm facing a 10-10 flyer next turn. Yikes. Okay. And here it comes. 10-10. That's crazy. Okay. Well, thanks to drawing Gilded Lotus last turn, though, I am not helpless against this, which is kind of glorious and very unexpected. I was complaining about not having enough red mana sources, and here I have 6 red in play. That's extremely convenient. So I top deck Forbid, and of course I would love at this point to cast Nin the Pain Artist. I'd love to cast Dak Fade and start doing stuff, but truthfully, I cannot afford to let him continuously attack me with the Ur-Dragon, given how incredibly scary this can become. Not only does it draw cards, but he could put ridiculous giant monsters into play that I can't deal with. So with that in mind, I'm going to just have to fade something huge and deadly, and hope he actually attacks here too. Sure enough, he does. So he does his little ability, reveals the top card, and immediately a Scrubland comes into play. And I'm just going to throw the Scourge in the way. Look at this. Who would have ever thought? Look at this. Creature combat, guys. Creature combat in Commander. Like real old-fashioned pumpable creature combat in this ridiculous format. Okay, so I'm pumping my guy up to 10, and they trade. Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at that. What can beat killing a 9-drop with a stolen creature stolen by Vidalcan Shackles? And then you can just untap the Shackles. But unfortunately, there's another land, and without any hesitation at all, his now 11 mana Commander resolves. Yummy. Yeah, I wish I'd had just 1 turn of reprieve. So still scary, honestly. This thing's really, really beastly. It doesn't have fire breathing at least, so I can actually take 2 hits from it before I die. But suddenly feeling extremely precarious in this game. I got Dak Faden, that's good. I do have Nin waiting in the wings, but I can't stop the trigger. I can't stop him from putting something insane into play. And if it's something like a Bogardan Hellkite, it would give him the ability to kill Nin, and I might not be able to draw my way out of this. And this is this funny nightmare scenario I was talking about. Just a giant commander with against a control deck, and you have no solution to it. And in this case, obviously, I did have plenty of counters, but unfortunately, the tutored up Cavern of Souls was more than enough. So I'm going to play Dak Faden here, and obviously draw 2 right away, hoping for a panic button, something that at least bounces the Scion of the Ur Dragon back to his hand at a minimum, or at the absolute best outcome gives me some kind of theft, like Treachery. I get Urza, which isn't bad, and a totally useless Workshop. So I'm going to throw away the Workshop. I'm going to throw away, Condescend, just very, very unlikely to matter at this point, given the fact that he has 11 mana in play. So I do have Force of Will to protect me from something that isn't a dragon, which is very, very important. So I play Urza, and that gives me a Mox Sapphire, and thanks to having all these red mana sources, I'm able to play Nin the Pain Artist as well. I suppose I should have cast Vidalcan Shackles instead over the Construct. It probably doesn't really matter, but you never know. Might need it as a blocker. All right, back to his turn, and he plays Kiora, Behemoth Reckoner. I've never played against this creature, one of these weird Planeswalkers from that set a couple years ago that comes into play with a ton of loyalty but doesn't have any way to plus. But I can see why it's in his deck. Certainly is a nice little card drawing engine. Absolutely not going to Force of Will that. It's just not that important. And down come attacks the Ur Dragon, and Ur Dragon is headed at... Let me find out where it's headed. I think it's actually headed at Dak Faden. He just gets a land. He's been very, very unlucky, honestly, with his Ur Dragon draws. But, of course, he's sending 10 damage at Dak's face. And good old Dak's going to step up, take 10 for the team, which I'm more than happy to accept, given that we're just really dealing with a time-based situation here. And he's thinking for a second, and then he just passes back. Okay, and I think he probably had my guess is he probably had a smaller dragon to play here, and he's nervous about the fact that I've got 5 islands, and I'll just take his dragon and block with it. So I suspect that's what he has in hand, which is good. And wow, the good top decks just keep on coming. All right, I'm going to throw down the Soul Ring, and this is an important attack here. I'm going to attack for 5 into the Kiora to drop it down to 2. The untap ability obviously is not too important. And I suppose he could have probably used the minus ability. I think he probably should have, actually. He should have used the minus ability to untap the Ur Dragon, and that way he could have used it as a blocker. It would have dropped to 6 loyalty. I would not have been able to attack. He would have been able to save a bunch of loyalty on his Planeswalker, and potentially get more value out of it. All right, what's going to happen here? All right. And when he goes to declare his attack, I decide that because of the fact that unpredictable things can happen during the attack step, given the way that his commander works, and I can't really counter anything of consequence, at least I can't counter creatures due to the Cavern of Souls. There's absolutely no harm in tapping a bunch of mana here. And I think about it a bit, and then I realize I can draw 8 cards, or I can draw 6, given the fact that I have 3 cards in hand already. I can draw 6 here, and if I draw either Cyclonic Rift into the Royal or Fire Ice, I can actually tap the Ur Dragon and keep it off my back for a turn. That'll prevent him from proccing the ability, and will also prevent me from taking 10 points of damage. And I feel that that's certainly better than just drawing 2 random extra cards, and could be a good result for me. So hopefully I get something amazing in these top 6. Ugh, none of those are amazing. That's just a lot more mana. And now my 2 remaining mana just casually drains out of the mana pool, making me look foolish. Oh, this is so scary. And he finally gets a threat. It's Kega, the Tide Star. And I think without even hesitating, did he even have a choice? Then you may. Yeah, he might have wanted to think about that a little bit. But he did get to draw a card off of it. And I do take 10. But there could be and then look at that. He did do the play. He untapped the Ur Dragon, which is the play he should have made last turn. And he has Breeding Pool, and I'm just crossing my fingers. Don't do something crazy that kills Nin, please. That doesn't kill Nin. That's completely fine. Oh, man. I'm sure people who are experienced with my deck can see what's coming here. This could be one of the better Nin activations in this deck's history. So, without further ado, I'm going to play a Wasteland, kill off that pesky Cavern of Souls, which has been tormenting me since turn 5. Play a Mox Diamond, of course, throw away probably the Cascade Bluffs. Don't need that anymore. Copious red mana. And play the copy artifact here, and of course I'm going to copy a Gilded Lotus. I need to buff up the mana. Yoink. Let's steal that little nice juicy Kega. And I'd love to play Thran Dynamo here, but it doesn't really quite work out. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana available. And yeah, I mean, I guess I could play the Thran Dynamo, but really, it doesn't matter that much. You see me thinking about tapping it, and I realize there's no real point. Go right ahead. Oh, no, I do play the Thran Dynamo. Okay, I guess I did do the calculation. I did have enough to do it. So he charges at the end of the turn, swings back to his turn, and during his upkeep, before he draws, I call this pretty high value play here. Jesus. Draw 5 off the corpse of his Kega and steal his 10/10 dragon. Yeah, Nin is a pretty sick commander. I think that's pretty evident. Thank you, Mori Wataru. Come again, please, some other time. Jesus. What a crazy ending to this game. I mean, obviously I was under tons of pressure, but, and man, look how bad this draw was. I mean, obviously I am drawing 5 more cards, but still, to draw 5 more cards and basically just get Trinket Mage, which gets mana, and Sensei's Divining Top and a bunch of additional lands. Pretty hilarious outcome, but he knows he's screwed. I now have his 10/10. There's no way out, really. His Cavern of Souls is gone. I have multiple counters in my hand, and of course he doesn't know this, but I have Forbid. So all of these, each pair of lands is an extra counter spell. And knowing what's coming, Mori Wataru packs it in. Now, of course, this was definitely another quite lopsided mismatch as far as a very strong competitive deck versus a much more casual one. But I was under crazy amounts of pressure early after the Vampiric Tutor had to make some tough choices. Certainly had some very fortuitous lucky top decks and got the W as expected. And I thought that the way that this game concluded with a Nin shooting down his K-God to drop 5 and steal his 10/10 commander was a fitting conclusion. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I've got a bunch more still in the pipeline. I'm kind of in the mood to record more games, so expect more in the future, and I will see you then. Take care.